podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No question with that.
Good evening, Ed.
How's it going?
I keep going with time-specific introductions, which is
Kind of pointless in a podcast.
Yeah, useless in a podcast. We're going to talk today about a game that I wasn't particularly jazzed about watching. I was interested, but oh my goodness, this is right up there with my favourite games we've watched, and definitely helps to confirm my opinion that 90s football is definitely the best football.
It is better football, isn't it? Maybe not. I mean,
it is. It literally is. Like, the games that I've enjoyed most from this series have almost all been from the 90s. And
the funny thing is, I was almost certainly at this game, and this is where it's really low crowd because they're building the North Stand. It just let some people into the lower tier. In fact, I think they only just got the certificate, which meant they could let some people into that lower tier. But I have no memory of being at this game at all. It could well be because I had an absolute skinful beforehand. But I definitely had a season ticket that season, and there's no reason I wouldn't have been there. So I'm sure I was there. Don't remember it at all.
But you weren't necessarily one for getting, like, absolutely plastered drunk before football, were you, really?
No, I mean, occasionally, but generally I enjoyed watching the game of football, which you can't do when you've had 12 pints of brow. So it's, or 12 to 15 in my case in the mid-90s.
It's a different time.
Different time, yeah. Different liver.
But genuinely, like, the football is just consistent. I mean, it's a mad game of football.
We haven't even said what game of football we're talking about.
Sorry, 1996, October 1996. October 1995, 95-96 season. Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2 at Old Trafford. We are basically talking about the return of the King and not the unbelievably overlong termination to the Lord of the Rings franchise. But Eric Cantona's return from his long enforced absence after his righteous decision to kick and punch a member of the crowd because he fully knew that member of the crowd was definitely a bad human in all sorts of ways, and that wasn't just a convenient after effect.
Well, I mean, that bad human said some bad things about Monsieur Eric.
Yes.
And he took justice. He kicked the hooligan, which he has no regrets about. And maybe he had some regrets when the FA screwed him, which is what they did. The reason why he's back on the 1st of October and not for the new season was because the FA, in contravention of the handshake deal that they'd struck with Manchester United, extended his ban for no particular reason other than they felt they could.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we've talked at length about, you know, the fact that ban was potentially going to be extended again due to his participation in a three-segment game. I was going to say three halves, so you can't have three halves. Well, you can have three halves, but not in this sense. You can't divide something up into three halves. There you go. I really regret. Eric Cantona might have no regrets. I have big regrets about starting this half business.
My son's year 2 maths homework, which I've been doing homeschool with him every day during lockdown. Yeah. Perhaps I could send some sheets over to you and you can, like, acquaint yourself with year 2 mathematics.
In this instance, the maths isn't the problem. It's the brain-mouth relationship that's the issue. Anyway, Eric Cantona the ban was nearly extended further. Fergie had to go and rescue him on a motorbike from Paris. That's more or less an accurate rendition of the story. Yeah. He's back,
Eric
though.
Nearly joined Inter, etc. and so on. So, yeah.
But he's back at Old Trafford and he's back with a bang, like, considering this is his first game of professional football since March the previous year. It's the same. When was... No, it was
January.
January,
25th of January, yeah.
Yeah, right. So his first game for 9 months, and he's just excellent. He hasn't lost his touch. Almost nothing goes wrong that he tries. And there's a couple of things that don't quite come off, but He's an integral, central part of United's success in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his best ever game for United, but it's very good in the circumstances. In a weird formation, so United line up in a sort of 4-4-2, but it's Giggs is on the left and Sharp and Keane are in the centre of the park and Butt sort of tucked in off the right.
Yeah.
And Cantona and Cole up front. And, the back four is kind of interesting because there's the Neville brothers in the full-back positions and Bruce and Pallister ahead of Schmeichel at the back. So, that's kind of as we understand it, I guess. We'll come to understand it with a lot of the young kids in there. There's an interesting. We were just chatting about Rob Smythe before we came on air, and he did a piece in the Blizzard a few years back, didn't he, covering this game and this game and the context around it, Spice Boys versus the class of '92, he pointed out correctly actually that through a lot of the '90s, Fergie tinkered with his side when he wouldn't have otherwise done so against Liverpool because he wasn't getting the results he wanted.
This is the thing that we talked about when we played Real. We watched the Real game, that Fergie is weirdly obsessed with Steve McManaman, and he would make direct changes to deal with Steve McManaman. I mean, the fact that he's playing kind of a midfield three with a left winger, but not a back five in any way, and a front two.
Well, he does for 15 minutes in the second half because Phil Neville shifts over to the right. I was very confused at first. I was like, what is going on here? Neville shifts to the right, Sharp shifts to the left, and they go to a back three, but not for very long.
No.
I mean, it's like 10 or 15 minutes, and then they abandon it and go back to the 4-4-2.
So let's set the context then, because one of the things you'll notice if you watch this game is that the kids are really the kids at this point. Gary Neville's now wearing number 20, Phil Neville 23, Beckham 24, Butt 20. They literally haven't got the numbers that we all know them by yet because this is their breakthrough season. Now, a lot of them have played, particularly Butt and Gary Neville, have played quite a lot of football the season before, more than you would think, given that everyone assumes this is their kind of real coronation. But they do play a lot of games that previous season. But now they are the first team. Like, they make up a huge part of the squad, and there's no particular surprise that this many of them are playing. United are not champions?
No, Blackburn are.
Yeah, that's right. But will, of course, go on to win the league in the greatest ever season of football ever, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, of course, they're playing a young Liverpool side. I mean, there's Ian Rush up front, who's the granddaddy of that team. I mean, talk about connecting generations.
I couldn't believe it when I saw him miss a chance early. I was like, was that Ian Rush?
Yeah, missing one from 2 yards out. Yeah,
he looks ancient in this game.
He does, but he goes on to have like 6 or 7 clubs after this. This is his last season with Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, but there's Robbie Fowler up front, who's 20, I think. McManaman's 22. Redknapp's 22. Harkness is 20. So it's a pretty young Liverpool side as well. Of course, as Smythe points out in that piece. This Liverpool team would go on to win absolutely no Premier League medals, and the United team, bazillions of them.
Yeah.
But look, it's a talented Liverpool side that perhaps didn't fulfil its potential.
And that's another thing that Rob Smythe said, that the kind of dichotomy of like rubbish underachievers, flashy underachievers versus like hardworking, diligent football superstars is an unfair dichotomy between these two groups. And the one thing that you have to say about this is like praising Eric Cantona. The best player on the pitch in this game by far in this game is Robbie Fowler, who is, I mean, he has a phenomenal game. He scores 2 brilliant goals, but he's dangerous basically every time Liverpool are in the ascendancy in the game. Yeah.
But that comes in the second half, doesn't it? Liverpool sort of really kind of coming into the game. I'm not sure that they were the better side during this game, really, but they sort of finished the game stronger than perhaps United started it. And United do start this game well, I think. I think they're at least there's a contrast in approaches. United are on front foot forward. They're taking the game to Liverpool, and Liverpool are happy to break in the formation that's pretty secure defensively. I mean, they pull 5 back when they need to. They've got Thomas and Redknapp sort of ahead of, and neither of those two break ahead of the ball at all. I'd forgotten that Thomas is in this Liverpool side. You kind of remember him as being an Arsenal player, don't you? But made the transition, and they just used McManaman and Fowler on the break against United all the time. But first 15 minutes, United, well on top. I mean, first 90 seconds, they're well on top, aren't they? And let's talk about the opening goal, because it comes after like 60-something seconds, and it's a nice pass out of midfield, isn't it? To the left. And Cantona's have 1-2 touches and plays it in with his left foot. And
it's a lovely cross aimed at the man around the penalty spot, who doesn't quite get to it. It's just slightly over him.
Andy Cole just behind him, yeah.
Yeah, and Nicky Butt comes charging in. Nice control and nice like touch and dink from Nicky Butt, sort of falling touch and dink, quite similar to the Park goal in the game that we watched last week. Cantona's first touch back in English football is an assist.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be generous and call that a good touch from Nicky Butt, and not that it bounced off him and he chased after it. And completely confused Phil Babb, though, didn't it? He went completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
And United were ahead. It's kind of weird atmosphere, because obviously, Old Trafford erupts, but it's only really 3/4 of Old Trafford that erupts. Because the big North Stand's going up that season, and there's hardly any fans in that stand. Clearly, they didn't get the licence to fill the bottom tier, which was completed at this stage. And so, there's a slightly weird atmosphere all the way through, only 30,000 people or something, which doesn't quite compute with what we know of Old Trafford today.
And it's a sort of perpetual building site at this, because it's like, 2 seasons after they've done the Stretford End, and now they're doing the North Stand, and it just felt like it was going to be a building site forever. And now it feels like it hasn't.
Until the Glazers arrived, and
exactly.
Because the money to do the quadrants had already been sanctioned, and or to do to do the second tier on the Stretford End and the East Stand, and then they did spend money on the quadrants, but that's it. Nothing since then.
And that's what I was going to say. It felt like it was a building site forever, and now it feels like it's forever since it's been a building site. Redknapp has a ping from range, which Schmeichel is at full stretch. I've just got an Eric watch section. Just gets the ball on the left, very elegant touch and control, finds a man. A few moments later, tries a dribble, gets fouled. A bit later on the right, he tries a flick layoff that doesn't quite work, and he chastises himself for it. Does a really nice tackle to relieve pressure, and then finds Sharp. This isn't in chronological order with everything else we're going to say, but it's just some key Eric moments. The outside of the through ball, the outside of the boot through ball for Cole that just outruns him.
Yeah. Sort of volley, would you call it a volley? Anyways, the ball's bouncing.
Yeah.
Into the right channel, and just misses Cole, but that would have been a lovely pass.
Yeah, but back to some more chronological stuff. Fowler absolutely destroys Steve Bruce with a touch through his legs, a nutmegs Bruce, and then dinks a perfect cross, basically, which has Schmeichel flapping all ends up, but then an aged Ian Rush can't get there.
I mean, he's a yard out.
Yeah.
Fowler would later say that was unlucky. I think he was being generous. Yeah, I won't have bad word said about Steve Bruce. So Fowler got lucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there's a few shots from Liverpool here. There's Mickey Thomas shoots from range, just wide. I mean, easy save for Schmeichel. Rush misses that. Fowler shoots again from distance. But apart from the Rush one, none of them are good chances in that first half, or that first 30 minutes, sorry.
Exactly.
Until...
Yeah, so Lee Sharp has an absolutely massive, massive chance. Eric Cantona finds Nicky Butt on the edge of the area. He kind of tucks it into where Giggs and Cole are, and Giggs, I think, dummies it. I don't think he gets a touch on it. And it's now Sharp is unmarked in the box in, I don't know, La Zona de Anthony Martial or whatever, like the place where you would expect him to open up his body and curl it into the right. Instead, he just sort of taps it into David James's path.
Right foot was always the swinger was sharp. He should have taken the chance on his left and lashed it.
Yeah.
But yes, he fluffed that one. And within 30 seconds, Liverpool are ahead, and it's a really good goal. And I guess, it's sort of played into the left channel, and Fowler gets in it. He's sort of in the same position that he's crossed for Rush just a few moments earlier.
Yeah, and he's gone, Ayla.
Yeah, that's about the most intelligent thing that Fowler's ever said. But yeah, and so instead of crossing it, he bangs one into the top corner, which Schmeichel was obviously not expecting, and he's just hit it so clean, it's beaten him before he can readjust. So I'm not putting that down as an error by Schmeichel.
No way. Like,
probably should be beaten from that angle normally, but you don't expect to have to pick one out of the top corner when the opposing player's in the corner of the box.
And my next note is just pulsating back and forth, because this game then sort of changes texture quite dramatically, and it becomes this sort of just punch and counter punch. Both there's one. You mentioned Liverpool's counter attacking. There's a lovely counter attack with Giggs just flowing down the left wing, and he can't find a man. But it's just watching Ryan Giggs in full flight at that age on the counter attack gave me like the good feelings. The olden days good feelings.
It's good.
Nice.
Yeah, there is one sad moment in the first half when David Ellery, God, I hated him, worst ref ever, books Keane for just a mild tap on the ankles, just almost nothing. But Ellery's out there, schoolmasterish, lecturing Keane, loves it, big showman that he is.
I won't have a word said against him. He doesn't give Fowler the pen when he gets bundled over by Brucey, and he does give us the pen when Giggs gets pushed over.
Well, yeah, but it's definitely a push on Giggs. Of course, he didn't give a pen for an early one where Nicky Butt's in the box and James takes him out. It doesn't look like it's in a very dangerous position, but Butt turns away from James, and he, for some random reason, just takes him out. And I think VAR would have given that.
Possibly the random reason is that Nicky Butt has kicked several members of his personal family, or certainly every teammate he's ever had, and, probably just digged him in the ribs the last time they were near each other, because Nicky Butt is and remains an absolute animal every time you see him play. Like, honestly, Nicky Butt's relationship with the opposition is just violence. That's all he's really interested in.
Good. We could do with a few of those in the modern day squad, couldn't we?
Well, they would all just be sent off within 7 minutes of every game that plays, so I'm not sure we could.
But Butt's out at half time, and Bex is on, and it certainly gives a more balanced feel to the team. I say that, although then Ferguson tinkers, and they go to this three at the back for a bit, and then Beckham tucks inside and all of that.
Yeah, and does nothing really all game. David Beckham, really nothing of particular note. But then Fergie does give the balance. It's a weird sort of tactical thing. After, is it the second half when their second goal? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
53 minutes.
So there's this sort of pulsating back and forth at the beginning of the half, and then they talked about this on the program that Gary Neville does, where he has a player and with him, and it's called Soccer Box, I think. And it's sort of goggle box, but for football. And they talked about this. He had Fowler on, and they talked about it. And
it's absolutely ruined him.
He's just horrified with himself. Every decision he makes in the whole movement, G-Nev, is bad.
He should have retired then. What kind of career did he have after this? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. Let's just put this down to a naive young defender getting schooled by a naive attacker. He does everything wrong. He shows him the inside, then he's really weak in the tackle. He turns his back on him at one stage as well. So yes, it's some very poor defending. And then Schmeichel is pretty poor goalkeeping actually, because he comes out, but then he leaves the goal open. He's basically saying, "Chip me, you've got the whole goal to aim at."
He very often did perfectly good. Chip me, you've got the whole goal to aim at is a big part of Peter Schmeichel's career, isn't it? But he normally gets players to shoot and does his star jump and does the thing. But very excellent presence of mind from Fowler, and just a pretty spectacular dinked finish. Two superb goals from a player who ended up
Scumbag.
not winning stuff and played for City, Leeds and Liverpool, which is the James Milner trifecta.
I mean, he has sort of 5 really excellent seasons after this, and then Gerard Houllier ruins him and ships him out, and he plays a whole bunch of City, Leeds, ends up playing in Australia at some point, doesn't he? Yeah. And he was never the same again, really, after Houllier turned up at Anfield.
Absolutely, and it was really is a waste of a talent because he's a baddie, right? So he's one of the baddies, so we don't really think about him or take him seriously. But God blimey, at his best, he was quite some forward.
I had to say, I had a touch of sympathy for him when he did that bit, when he crawled on his hands and knees and
pretended to be a cow chewing the grass.
That's it. Yeah, that's what he was doing. And the FA just got it completely wrong and thought he was taking Class 8.
Yeah. And
classic suits.
As we know, he's the world's biggest landlord now.
Yeah, he's a slumlord. Yeah. Anyway, beyond the politics,
there's just an effortlessly wonderful layoff from Eric Cantona back into midfield, and then he receives the return ball as a sort of thrash at it and claims a corner that
was never a corner.
It was not a corner, Eric.
Slid in by Beckham, who did some good things.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
It's a good chance. Not taken.
Yeah.
And then, a few minutes later, 65 or so, the foul on Giggs, the pass through by Cantona.
Beautiful. I mean,
beautiful slider all past to put Giggs away. Shoved over, totally clear, nailed on, 100% of a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Eric sends James the wrong way, basically. He just sells him. It's the opposite of that Lukaku penalty in the FA Cup semi-final. He really looked like he was going the other way and did the sell job on David James. Calmly tucked it home, and there was much rejoicing and spinning around the goal stanchion.
I like goal stanchions, but you want to have a really deep net if you're going to do that.
Yeah, Mexico 86 or bust.
Yeah.
Coley hits Coley just wide from a spectacular overhead.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, it's a lovely move, and then the pass by Cantona. It's almost inviting Cole to do that. It's like as if he'd played it out in his head that the overhead is on here, because it's not. He doesn't. It's not a wayward pass. He's just chipped it into space. Yeah,
for Cole to overhead it, and Cole fluffs his lines and doesn't score the spectacular overhead. See, needed 5 chances at an overhead kick for every goal he scored under Cole.
Look, we've seen Cole a few times in this series of retro, and I have to say I've got a new respect for him because he's a good all-round player. He's very neat on the ball and in tight spaces and does the right things all the time. So didn't quite do this. He had to wait a few years until Dimitar Berbatov came along to show you how you do it against Liverpool.
We've had a couple of requests for that game. Maybe put that one in the hopper for a couple of games down the line because we've already picked what we're doing next.
There's a lovely piece of Reza Ruddock, Eric Cantona action where I think Ruddock goes in on him a bit hard. There's a bit of an elbow, and as Ruddock liked to do. And I think Cantona's calling him a fat bastard because he makes a sort of tummy sound and then he makes it like a double chin action as well, which is very nice.
The king, not the sveltest himself. That's pure muscle. Pure Provençal muscle. Or Marseillaise muscle even. Absolutely phenomenal end-to-end game of football. Anything else massively meaningful happen?
No, for the last 15 minutes or so? No, there's one break by United where I counted them, 7 players forward in the last 5 minutes. I mean, this is why 90s football this is why 90s football is great, because this is before Fergie understood that tactics existed and that perhaps sometimes you had to balance out the everyone attacks philosophy.
He clearly knew tactics existed by this point, but he wasn't quite sure what they were. Try 3 men here, no 4 men here, no 3 men here. It's peak 90s, this game. I mean, it's literally in the middle of the 90s. All the players have 90s haircuts. Oasis are probably literally number 1 as this game is played out. It couldn't be more culturally specific. The only thing that hasn't happened yet is David Beckham's hair hasn't got cool yet. Like, it's very functional by this point.
It's very functional, short back and sides, isn't it? Yeah. He hasn't discovered pop music and the Spice Girls quite yet, and got stylish. And it's just a few months before the Spice Boys at Liverpool would wear those white suits, which they've never lived down.
Absolutely, and rightly so. And it's just like everyone would associate those white suits so differently if they'd only had the foresight to win the game afterwards. It would have made a significant difference.
Well, it's true today as it was then. If you're going to make a statement in football, if you don't want to be on the end of a bunch of reactionaries like us making fun of you, you need to win. You can do anything when you win.
And of course, this United team goes on to win. And you know, we did bonus content probably a year or two ago, 2 years probably, on this season in particular. And just so much happens in this season. It starts with Alan Hansen. I mean, two of the most quoted things that have ever been said in English football are said in this season. Alan Hansen says, "You'll never win anything with kids." And Kevin Keegan says, "I'd love it if we beat them." And you will win something with kids and you won't beat them. Like, that's how it goes.
It's the masterful Cantona season. It's his resurrection from the injustice he's faced from the FA. Is it the season that Beckham sticks one in from 50-odd yards?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So United win the double. Blackburn lose like the first 5 games or something insane like that, and they're out of it already. And Newcastle emerge as one of the most exciting teams we'd seen in the Premier League to that point, just not a good team when it really mattered.
That Liverpool 4-3, I think, is this season, isn't it? The Liverpool-Newcastle 4-3, I think.
Yeah, because Collingwood's on the bench in this game.
Yeah.
Scores in that 4-3 against Newcastle, doesn't he? Yeah, so a classic season and some really classic moments from United, including this game, which is thoroughly entertaining game, and there's lots of hallmarks of the great side that's emerging. It's a transition. It's funny, isn't it? Really, it's a transitionary side because
absolutely
in the summer he's dumped Ince, or Ince has dumped United, depending on who you believe, and Kanchelskis and Hughes have both gone too, and he didn't buy anyone. So this was the only summer in Ferguson's time at United that United did not buy a senior player.
And you can really see why, because they literally did not need to. I mean, you could argue that if you wanted to compete at the top level in Europe, maybe there was some tweaking needed to be done, but it turned out that really the only thing that meaningfully changes about this side is that Eric Cantona is replaced by Dwight York. Can't say that's an upgrade. Lee Sharp drifts out of the team, and then the 2 centre-backs are replaced because they're coming towards the back end of their career. But it's a transitional side, but most of this side is involved as United win the European Cup 4 years later at this point.
That's right. They become more mature.
Yeah,
absolutely. All those kids, and Fergie makes 2 excellent signings in Stam and Janssen. One big money, the other, a very fortunate signing or good judgment, whichever one you want.
Yeah, that also led to Solskjaer coming, and then Sheringham and York are both attempts to replace Cantona in some way, and it works. But this game's really about Eric because it is his return, and we've talked about this a lot. But one of the key reasons that Eric Cantona isn't just a player in United's history, a very good player. Why I think if you're going to make another statue at Old Trafford at any point, he should be the next one, is because everything that follows has him baked into it. It's
right. He's the inspiration for the class of '92, or the foundation on which 20 years of success are built.
Absolutely, and every single one of them. Just Google it. Just Google Giggs quotes about Cantona, Beckham quotes about Cantona. They were all in awe of him and wanted to be like him, and saw that the way that he did it was practice. And so, that Beckham would practice his free kicks over and over and over and over and over again because he saw Eric Cantona practicing after training over and over and over again. And he was the first player at United that asked Ferguson for a couple of young players to practice some stuff after the games, and that it changed the culture and it changed the whole culture of the fabric of the Premier League. Because
changed Fergie as well.
Yeah.
No doubt, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then within 18 months, he's gone, of course. He's not left the club. He's retired at age 31 and, a long way short of a decline. But he felt in his head that it was no good anymore. And, it's interesting because the season following this, United have a real crack at winning the European Cup, Champions League, and just fall short in the semi-final against Dortmund, who go and play Juve in the final. But United weren't far short,
No, absolutely. And they win the league again. And Ole Solskjaer is the top scorer in next season, which is quite remarkable. But this particular season, Eric Cantona's return just transforms United. And this is the season in which the march of Eric Cantona happens. United play 4 times, 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0. Eric Cantona scores every single one of those goals, as we claw this seemingly unoverturnable margin back 12 points, although we had a game in hand at 12 points over Newcastle in January, and we end up winning the league.
What's Kevin Keegan doing now? Seen him around recently?
No, I haven't.
No. I don't see too many of these Liverpool players around much. Well, McManaman, you see, I still can't say that name after 25 years of trying to say it. McManaman is on BT Sport. He's a decent pundit-ish.
He's hard work as a co-commentator, though, isn't he? Let's face it. He's hard work. And the thing about him is that if you listen to him co-commentate, you would think that he had never misplaced a pass in his life because he's infuriated by the slightest failing of any footballer.
Yeah, he was an infuriating player, I imagine, if you were his coach. He had 4 very successful seasons at Real Madrid after leaving Liverpool, I think, in 2000-ish. And I think he was inducted into the Real Madrid Hall of Fame or whatever, isn't he? And thought of very well there. Unlike their current British winger, who most certainly will not be thought of very well.
No, absolutely. There was no golf, Liverpool, Madrid in that order for McManaman. Obviously, the Liverpool side is kind of associated with failure. That's the thing that is linked inextricably to this Liverpool side, but in a way, like every other team in England between the years of 1992 and 2013, it's not their fault. They had a crack. It's hard to beat. You can't beat Fergie. It's not anyone else's fault. We're just, as United fans, it's this thing about remembering how unbelievably lucky we are that he didn't fancy the Spurs job 6 months before the United gig became available. Otherwise, the future would have been so different. This is Ferguson in a moment of genius. And I think this transitional side between that unbelievable 94 team and the 99 team that would come to be, this is actually one of my favourite teams because it has the class of 92 and Eric Cantona both in it. And that's an intoxicating combination to watch as a United fan.
Certainly is. And I enjoyed this one. It was good game, worth delving back into the 90s. We've done that several times. The odd one from the 70s, one from the 60s.
Yeah. I think
from the 80s.
I think we were on one from the 60s, one from the 70s, one from the 2000s. No, 2 from the 2000s, 1 from the 2010s, and all the rest have been from the 90s. And what decade, pray tell, Ed, is the next game that we're choosing to watch?
Yes, it appears to be the 1990s. I mean, are we giving away our age here or what? Yeah, we were obviously always going to do this game, but we've left it for a while. And it looks like football may be returning in early June. So, folks, you're only going to get a few more of these nostalgia pods until there's a second wave of the coronavirus in the autumn and the next season is cancelled. I don't know whether Paul's got his hands over his face.
My hands are just like covered my eyes. Not because I'm horrified by what you said, but because I'm horrified of the inevitable truth of what you said.
Yeah. Anyway, so Juve versus United in the Stadio delle Alpi from 1999. One of the great Manchester United comebacks.
Anyone heard of this game? Is
Maybe
this
just
familiar to anyone? Yeah. Given how much we talked about Roy Keane in the first few weeks, it feels like it's about time we had another Roy Keane focused episode, and we can settle the debate that's been raging on Twitter about whether Roy Keane was actually good in this game or not. Honestly, some people have got too much time on their hands and too many opinions.
Well, we're going to have another 45 minutes of opinions on that game. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll see you on Monday with that. And then I'm having the following Thursday off, so I'm just going to do one podcast next week. But
part-timer.
That's not, don't have to worry about that yet. We'll see you on Monday.
See you, folks. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.